It is Luke Skywalker Friday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Let us begin with the latest iteration of very easy meditation. Welcome to the first of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, this naturally occurring, not rushed, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you want to count to 96, you'll have to multiply this by 8 using your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations. 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. Since this is our first of 4 phases, we can keep track of it by resting the great knuckle at the base of the right little finger upon the tip of the left little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite or real or imagine subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder wheel region of our lower abdomen. Let us demystify enlightenment. What if enlightenment was nothing more than mastering Gautama Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what do we mean by mastery? What if we got so good at practicing the Eightfolds of the Buddha's path that we could do so spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively, the way a child learns to use the toilet, brush their teeth, tie their shoes, or ride a bike? What's wild is that by getting really good and consistently practicing the 7th folds mindfulness and the 8th folds meditation, the remaining 6th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path literally take care of themselves. Let us therefore view mindfulness and meditation through the lens of neuroscience after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you won't have to. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Please chant with me. The nudity of the archetypical couple sporting in tantric union reminds us of the vulnerability so crucial to mindfulness. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. Since the Neolithic Revolution, most humans have been conditioned by society to be as rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel as Devadatta's rather foolish cousin, to the point of even denigrating those who wish to be as flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind as Gautama, who is also known as the Buddha. So here's the deal. When people who are habitually rigid and controlling try to teach others how to meditate, folly ensues. They wind up imploring their students to actively focus and actively analyzing, using all manner of synonym. Now, the only discrete neural pathways that can focus or analyze are those found in such regions as the medial or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. What's the problem with that? When we overtrain or overuse our prefrontal cortex, we trigger our almond-shaped amygdala, which functions as the seat of both anxiety and aggression, which of course are the opposite goals most of us have in mind. No one says, you know, what I really need to spice my life up is more anxiety and aggression. That's what I need to do, burn the bridges and make my loved ones cry. No one says that. I've never met someone who didn't want to be more peaceful and more loving. Focus and analysis can take us many places, but peace and love are not one of them. Fortunately, neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex comprise the entirety of our central nervous system. Let us turn our attention now to the topic of mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, evolution has wired us to effortlessly access the sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us notice in a very particular way. It has evolved to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which, as you can probably guess, is the opposite of the rigidity and controlling tendencies latent within concentration. But what are we supposed to notice? We have evolved to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. So we got all this stuff going on, which can seem a trifle overwhelming. So how do we practice this in the manner that is elegant in its simplicity? Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, let's try this again. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we are inducing our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system. That's great. But a problem still remains. All these things that we notice can feel a trifle overwhelming. Even if we only use the single label this, it can still overwhelm. What are we to do with these things that we notice? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired by evolution to effortlessly access the parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release, to the point where what we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel literally impermanent and figuratively as non-graspable as a vast empty void. What is a real world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is actually intangible to the hand. And so here is the wild thing. As I mentioned a few moments ago, the first benefit of regularly playing with mindfulness and meditation is that we cannot help but notice the literal impermanence and figurative emptiness so crucial in establishing the habit of effectively letting go. So together as a team, let us meditate for the next few minutes. By a few minutes, I mean anywhere from 8 to 16 minutes. By the way, if you're sitting on the floor, use a firm cushion. Don't bother twisting yourself into the full lotus position. The quarter lotus is ideal. One shin stacked upon the other. Remember, your knees are only hinge joints, so you turn out from the hips, never the knees. Good morning, and welcome to the second of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Oops, let's try that again. Over the span, camera movement. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, if we want to count to 96 inhalations, we'll have to multiply this by 8. And that's where the left hand comes in. We do not use the left hand to count inhalations, but sets of 12 inhalations. Our first, second, third, fourth sets of 12 inhalations each. Our fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth sets of 12 inhalations each. And since this is our second phase, we could keep track of it by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could help our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Please chant with me. The translucence of the all-good father and mother depicted in paintings remind us of meditation's experience of impermanence and non-graspability. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we cannot help but notice our mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination in a manner that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting. This is what the big kids call meditation. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we cannot help but release our resistance to the presence or absence of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation. And that is what us, the big kids, call meditation. So here's something wild. The second benefit of playing with mindfulness and meditation about once every 12 hours or so is that we calm the tyranny of our amygdala's anxiety and aggression. This is important. By calming the control over which anxiety and aggression can dominate us, we extinguish the possibility of being such a puppet of anxiety and aggression that our intention, communication, and conduct, as well as commerce, become corrupted and competitive and cruel. So that's a good thing that we have an antidote. And let us exercise this antidote right now. Quick reminder, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. Tally ho. Oh yes, one last thing. Every time we inhale, we are already wired to generate a vertical traction between our head and our tuchus. Every time we exhale, we are wired to subtly relax that traction. Doing so is a wonderful tonic for our body and mind. Learning to sit impeccably is a skill. Play with it twice a day. You could master it in a week or two. Allow me to remind you of what you already know. We have to learn everything. No human is born knowing how to use the toilet, brush their teeth, tie their shoes, or ride a bicycle, and yet most humans have mastered those skills by the time they enter first grade. We are all crummy at everything we try the first time. The magic of neuroplasticity is that we learn from our errors. We come now to the third of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can if we wish to count to 96 inhalations, we'll have to multiply this by 8 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. We can track this third phase of this morning's practice by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger, thumbs up in our lap. Doing so can gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the heart region of our chest. Please chant with me. The beauty of sky blue kuntu zongpo and cloud white kuntu zongpo yam yam remind us of the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived. You see, as the Eagles sang on their album The Long Run, a pretty face don't mean no pretty heart. The greatest beauty is the overflow of our empathy. When we, by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we cannot help but vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. By silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we cannot help but release our resistance to the presence or absence of whatever it is we noticed during our previous inhalation. One of the third benefit of playing with this mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so is that we stimulate this tissue known as our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of both compassion and love. Doing so makes of kindness an inevitability, whether it is kind intention, kind communication, kind conduct, or commerce that is as cooperative as it is kind. Allow me to remind you of what you've already probably figured out, that this loving kindness consists of 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Let's practice together right now. By the way, there are many different styles of meditation. The litmus test of the efficacy of our mindfulness meditation is not whether or not the majority of people agree with us. The question is, how much compassion do we have, and how spontaneous is it? How effortless is it? How uncontrived is it? Because if our love is the contrived fruit of concentration and analysis, it is a pale analog of the real thing. So here's the great irony. Those who work with focus and analysis are cranky. They can't help it. They're not bad people. They're just stimulating their amygdala. Then they try to use those same tools of focus and analysis to contrive an analog of love. The sad irony is if they just set aside focus and analysis and replaced it with reliance upon our sympathetic nervous system's effortless awareness and our parasympathetic nervous system's effortless release, the love they would experience would be the real deal. We come now to the fourth and final phase of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, if we wish to count 96 inhalations, we'll have to multiply this by 8. And we do that by counting sets on our left hand. Excuse me. So that would look like 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. 5, 6, 7, 8 inhalations of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our fourth phase of 96 inhalations, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the crown region of our head. Oh, won't you please chant with me? The stability with which Skyblus Manta Mandra sits, and the abandon with which Cloud White's Manta Mandri sports, reminds us of the effortless effort of centered spontaneity. When, by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, we cannot help but notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. By silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we cannot help but release our resistance to the presence or our absence of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation. The fourth benefit of playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so is an answer to the question. It's one thing to wish to do the right thing, but how are we to know how to do the right thing, or what the right thing is, or when to perform it? And here's the answer. Play with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, and you will find that your choices and your utterances and your deeds begin flowing from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. No, not the scattered spontaneity emblematic of our fourth or fifth espresso shot, but the centered spontaneity that is the effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Consider the phrase Buddha nature, or if you're old school, Tathagata. During the Iron Age, when there were no fMRIs, they could only basically say our nature is to practice the path. Now that we have imaging technology, we can say with great certitude that yes, our sympathetic nervous system is the seat of mindfulness. Yes, our parasympathetic nervous system is the seat of meditation. Yes, our anterior cingulate gyrus is the seat of empathy. And these three comprise the triangle of our Buddha nature. Every healthy adult armed with these three components, these standard issue components of a healthy central nervous system, have the capacity to master the Buddha's path in as little as a week or two. Come together, let us practice for the next few minutes. I'll be right back. Quick reminder, it's not our job to manifest love or to yeet hate. For both love and hate are just emotions. Our job is to notice and relax into the release of our resistance for their presence or absence. Be honest, the resistance is there, but relax into it. Now remember, this does not make doormats of us. For the more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more our choices, utterances, and deeds flow with the centered spontaneity of our Buddha nature, causing us to take actions wise and compassionate. Those who are slaves of pseudo-spiritual patriarchy are concerned with perfectionism. Those who are acolytes of spiritual matriarchy are happy to go with the flow. I sincerely hope you found this to be helpful. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately an hour and a half, I could return to today's mid-morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you. always.